Hey everybody, welcome to the Browns Report on Chat Sports. I'm Andy McNamera. You can get me on Twitter at AndyMC81, on twitch.tv/AndyMacLive. Subscribe there. Also, make sure you click subscribe on the Chat Sports YouTube channel so you don't miss any Browns information, any NFL reports, news, rumors, mock drafts as we get ready for the NFL draft. Let's look at the Browns preseason schedule. It is released. That means that the regular season schedule release is just around the corner, probably in a week, no more than 2, always comes out before the draft. You look at the Browns' opponents, host Washington between August 8 to 12. That'll be at the stadium. That'll be fascinating to see the crowd. I think it's going to be a sellout. Preseason sellout with all the hype with Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr., Landry, Chubb, everybody, Myles Garrett, all the new faces for a preseason game. I bet you it's a sellout at the stadium. Then you go to Indianapolis the week of August 15 to 19 and play the Colts. Now they're going to be practicing in Indy a few days before the intramural squad kind of break up the sluggishness that can get you and the monotony of the preseason of training camp. So that'll be preseason game number 2. Now the dress rehearsal, the big boy, where you see the most realistic offense and defense. You're still not going to be flashing anything, any real trickery or specific game plans, but you're going to see the starters for the longest period of time. That's going to be in Tampa Bay against the Bucs, August 22 to 26, and then they finish it up, the Great Lakes Classic, the useless game 4 of the preseason versus the Lions, battle for the Barge, a big trophy. That'll be between August 29 and September 1st. So that's the preseason schedule. I want to hear from you, though. Do you take the preseason record into account? Does it matter to you? If the Browns go 4-0, 0-4, split it, whatever, does it matter? Remembering that in the 0-16 season, they went 4-0. And that's something where you look at the preseason, does it really matter? Does it matter to you? Does it matter to you? Browns making more signings, adding depth before the draft, really putting themselves in a position to go in any direction. What was an area of need with Jabril Peppers going out? Well, John Dorsey the other week signed Eric Murray from the Kansas City Chiefs, got that trade in for Ogba. Well, now they add another one from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Morgan Burnett, 30 years old, 6'1", 210, big-bodied guy. The link to Green Bay is very important here because what we have is Alonzo Highsmith and Elliott Wolf, who are John Dorsey's lieutenants, recognizing bringing in Burnett, somebody that was drafted when they were in the organization, who got the big second contract, and who Pittsburgh released. So now with Burnett, you add, at least for this next year, a starter at strong safety. You can pop him right in. Now, you draft somebody, they can compete, but now you have Burnett, you have Murray at safety depth, and also with Murray, you can maybe even pop him in the cornerback as well. So the Browns signing Burnett. Also, quarterback Garrett Gilbert, for whatever it's worth, the all-time passing leader in the Alliance of American Football, all 12 games, that record belongs to Garrett Gilbert. Now, the interesting fact is that Gilbert and Baker Mayfield went to the same high school in Texas. They're friends. Gilbert has some NFL experience in camps, played a few snaps for the Carolina Panthers last season, has been in camps in New England and other stops. So what you add to that quarterback room, once again, a friendly face, somebody who's going to know his role. We don't have a Tyrod Taylor situation. Not that he was a bad seed. He did his job. But Gilbert isn't going to be battling for the starting job. Now you have Baker, Stanton, and Gilbert. And I think that probably excludes drafting a quarterback even late, unless there's somebody on Dorsey's board who they really like and you go in that particular direction there. But I don't think they'll be wasting a draft pick on that. Maybe an unsigned guy, another camp arm. So Gilbert's in. This is the interesting signing. And I trust John Dorsey because everything he's done so far has turned to gold. But you sign a guy, wide receiver, Damon Sheehy-Guiseppi, 5'11", 181 pounds, kick and punt return specialist. But he hasn't played since 2016. His college days were done. He was the NJCAA All-American. So fast. There was rumors he ran a 4.28 40. He is a kick return specialist. This is something the Browns have not had really since Travis Benjamin. Jabril Peppers didn't do anything with it last year. You had a cycle of guys come in. Nobody has really been able to do anything at that spot. So the Browns bringing this guy in, Damon Sheehy-Guiseppi, who again has not played ball since 2016. So an interesting signing for Dorsey. He scored 4 return touchdowns in college. We'll see. I like that they're at least bringing in a specialist to try to amp up that position with a new special teams coordinator. So we will see. What do you think of the signings? You can put in the comment section below. Do you like the signings? Does someone stand out to you more? Does Morgan Burnett, does that position now at safety, where you have Burnett, you have Murray, has safety moved on from one of the most important positions to fill for the Browns? And what is your position of need most for the Cleveland Browns right now? You can leave your answer in the comment section. For me, it goes right to linebacker. And linebacker was kind of that 1A, 1B, I think, with safety. But Dorsey has addressed safety, at least for the short term now. We look at the linebacker group. Starters, Jernard Avery, who Dorsey got in the 5th round last year, the former bodybuilder who's been an absolute stud, trying to convert from a pass rusher into a full-time linebacker. Christian Kirksey, back from injury, and Joe Schobert. Backups, Ray Armstrong, Juwan Hines, Darius Taylor, Xavier Woodson Luster. Those are a lot of special teams guys right there who happen to play linebacker. If somebody gets injured in that starting 3, Avery, Kirksey, Schobert, you're in trouble. So linebacker has to be addressed. It was not addressed in free agency, and this is an area I really feel the Browns will be targeting at some point in the draft. Because remember, Dorsey is a gem of a talent finder in those middle rounds. That's where he got Jernard Avery. So I have 3 possible draft options at linebacker for the Cleveland Browns, depending which way they want to go. Now, a guy with a mid-second to high 3rd round grade, Blake Cashman out of Minnesota, 6'2", 235. If they're looking to address that need immediately, Cashman is your guy. Tested off the charts at the combine. Incredible athleticism. Great tackling. Little stiff in movement. Maybe not the best in coverage. He's still okay, but maybe not the best in coverage. This is somebody who, with a little tweaking, and that's why he's not a 1st round pick, still has to improve on some techniques. But Blake Cashman, you can slide right in as somebody who can go in on a rotation, and you have then time to develop him as a starter. That's what is important. So Blake Cashman, I really like him from that side. Discipline can be a bit of an issue for Cashman as well. A few penalties, maybe gets a little too aggressive, but I'd rather have a guy that's over-aggressive and you can try to scale that back. You usually can't amp up aggressiveness. Cashman does that. Now, from our mock draft the other week, this is my guy. If you don't go with Cashman in the 2nd round, 3rd to 5th round grade, you get yourself some Jermaine Pratt, folks. This is who you get. If you go somewhere else at the 49th overall pick, in that next level, Jermaine Pratt, North Carolina State, 6'3", 245, converted safety, 1-year starter at linebacker. Okay, so he came down. Coverage skills are strong, but he's a tackler. That was an issue for the Browns last year. A big issue. Tackling. Pratt can tackle. And he can defend the run, and he can defend the pass. And he has that experience in coverage as a safety. So again, you have somebody in that Steve Wilks defense who maybe you don't spend it on a safety, but you have someone who has that experience and you can move it around and make those exotic packages. Jermaine Pratt, I'm telling you, I am a big Jermaine Pratt guy. If you have a linebacker you like, put it in the comments section below. And you can tweet me at AndyMC81, but subscribe on Chat Sports here. And do you have a linebacker in this draft you want the Browns to take? If so, who is it? And do you like my guy Jermaine Pratt or Blake Cashman? Now, this would be a depth move, and I think the Browns would still have to do some work, maybe some undrafted guys you like if you go this route. But Chase Hansen, 6'2", 220 out of Utah, is a 5th to 6th round grade. Another safety to linebacker hybrid, a convert. Started 1 year at linebacker, again similar to Pratt, but not as sound a tackler. Good eye, high football IQ, can replays well, and is a better coverage guy, but doesn't have necessarily that same aggression and high motor that a Jermaine Pratt or Blake Cashman does. So that's somebody with a higher ceiling if you feel you can bring him along. But Hansen would be somebody that if you get him, you'd also want to make sure you get another 1 or 2 bodies in there for some depth as well. And they might have to anyway. So who do you like at linebacker, and what is your position of need most for the Browns now? That safety's been covered off to a certain degree. Is it still safety? Do you want more defensive back help? Do you want linebacker, offensive line, whatever you want? Type it in the comment section there. Let's go to dueling mock drafts. And with the draft so close, put out, now this was just before the Morgan Burnett signing for the Browns, but it was Mel Kiper versus Todd McShay at what the Browns should do at 49th overall. And even with those signings, I don't think this dissuades Dorsey necessarily from taking a safety, and that's where Mel Kiper goes. Nasir Adderley, safety, just a shade under 6 feet, 205 from Delaware. And what you have with this guy is a deep safety, stellar ball skills, and I think what we've forgotten a little bit about is we've been so worried about figuring out what to do with the Jabril Peppers safety position that he went. We realized there's no real backup for Demarius Randall at free safety. Adderley can be that rover, that bit of a tweener, that you could have him back up Randall, but also pop him in at strong safety as well. And with the coverage skills that are in different packages, that is always a valuable asset. So Nasir Adderley, I like him in there. I think that is a spot where you can never have too much depth. And again, with Eric Murray, you could always pop him back to cornerback as another depth guy. And this is what you do when you're a good team. You add depth. So Adderley, I like him coming out of Kiper, even with the Burnett signing, even with the Murray trade. Now, Todd McShay, he went offensive line, went Dalton Risner of Kansas State. And, of course, the argument is you can never have too much help to protect Baker Mayfield. I get that. I want the Browns to take an offensive lineman. To me, it's later on. Because you have Greg Robinson at left tackle. You have Hubbard at right tackle. You have Corbett at guard. And you have center. You got Batonio, Treader. Like, you're set on that offensive line for now. Plus, you have Desmond Harrison, who started some games at left tackle as a developmental person in the back. So I don't think you spend your 49th overall pick, your first draft pick, on a guy who's not going to play. They did that with Austin Corbett last year. Didn't play. If the Browns are really ready to take the next step, I want someone that can contribute. A depth guy down the road at offensive line, yes, but not with that 49th overall pick. So my vote goes to Mel Kiper out of that dueling draft, mock draft battle of what the Browns do at 49. Adderley over Dalton Risner there. But where do you side on it? Do you go with Kiper? Do you go with McShay? Type N for Nasir Adderley. Type D for Dalton Risner. So safety or offensive tackle, what do you like better? You can put that in the comment section below there. Now, some other visits, and this is what you also have to look at for the Browns, is where are they where are they going for visits? And two, what players are they having in? Now, one guy who's visiting pre-draft visit, I think this would be a tremendous value. Trysten Hill, defensive tackle, 3-year player at UCF. Now, he lost his starting job in 2018 because of a coaching change, and red flags were up there. But at the Combine, all accounts is that he addressed it. It was a new coaching scheme. New coach wanted his guys in. Productive player. He's had 71 tackles, 20 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 6'3", 308. So now you would have, if you took him as a day 2 guy, probably you might have to spend that second round pick on, depending how things go out. You're going to have a run at some point on defensive tackles. Maybe a day 3, maybe a third round guy, or a day 2 in the third round. So for Trysten Hill, imagine having, you got Larry Ogunjobi, you got Sheldon Richardson, you pop in Trysten Hill behind. High character guy. Again, by all accounts coming out, he tested out very well and was productive before that coaching change. So you put Trysten Hill in there, in behind. He is visiting the Browns facility, one of a few clubs that he is coming in. That would be a great pickup. I do like myself some Draymond Jones out of the Ohio State University, of course, but Trysten Hill is somebody coming in that you think, okay, if you get him 49 overall, remember the Browns got 8 total picks. Maybe you use them to trade back up later in the second round or higher in the third round to get that type of guy. So that's going to be a second, third round type of pick. Trysten Hill, who I really like. Another visit coming into the Browns. Valdosta State. Who's heard of Valdosta State? Cornerback Steven Denmark. And this is somebody who Dane Brugler is saying is likely a 6th round, 5-6 round type of prospect, a day 3 guy, someone you add in. Gotta love the size, 6'1", 215. So he was a wide receiver, made the transition to cornerback, so he's got an eye for the ball. He's got decent hands. They're not great hands, otherwise he'd still be a wide receiver. But you got him at cornerback, and where again you're looking at defensive depth, especially later in the draft, with one of their 3 5th-round picks, with maybe a 6th-round pick for the Browns. If you can add depth, you can never have too many corners. We know this. Denzel Ward, concussion issues, right? Terrence Money Mitchell got injured last year. They got into a little bit of trouble. If you can add a depth guy with some upside, who maybe he needs a little bit of tweaking, maybe he needs some technique, but he has the raw tools, that's what you get with this depth. And somebody like a Steven Denmark could provide that. So comment below. Let me know what you think of the Browns maybe going after a later round, 5th or 6th round cornerback, adding depth there. What about Trysten Hill? Do you have another defensive tackle you like? Is there another position you want? And remember, leave what is the Browns' most important position right now. What do they need to fill? So you can do that right there here on Chat Sports. Click subscribe. Follow along. Never miss any Browns report. We're going to have a mock draft next week as we get closer to the draft. A full 7-round mock, baby. I'm coming with it. Full 7-round mock next week on the Browns report. And you can follow me on Twitter at AndyMC81 and on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/AndyMacLive.